Good afternoon. You probably know me. My name is Hans van der Wal. I'm an attorney at law in Belgium, and I represent the interests of some members of Vitae. Some members can be seen as roughly 20,000 members that organize themselves in a class action, even though a class action doesn't really exist in Belgium. But let's say they formed a group trying to do something against the platform, Vitae, the Vitae platform, being completely cut off in June 2021 by the Belgian investigating authorities. You may recall that in June 2021, when you went online, try to go on the internet and go to Vitae, that you received a notification that the Belgian authorities stepped in because, according to them, according to their investigation, Vitae would be a scam or a fraud. I was contacted by several members, later on a group of roughly 20,000, to look into the matter and to give my professional opinion from a Belgian legal point of view. My first analysis as a Belgian lawyer was, well, there's always the presumption of innocence. I'm not taking something as granted if it has not been proven in a court. So suspicion and investigation exists often. The investigation can lead to the evidence that crimes have been committed, but sometimes investigations lead to an acquittal or to the conclusion, even by the investigating authorities, that nothing happened, no crime was committed. It always depends. I'm not going to say, in this case, there was a crime or there was no crime. I can't tell, simply because I have no insight in the full investigation file, and it would be dumb from my side to make statements about the investigation that I haven't seen completely. My analysis was a bit different. From the perspective of the members, the Vitae members, I looked into a situation where I saw a very, very drastic measure being taken, which is taking the platform offline, making sure nobody can access the platform anymore, and looking into the question, was this measure justified and was it proportionate? And my conclusion at first was this measure is not justified, because even if you have suspicion, taking such a drastic measure is quite far. It goes quite far, and it has many consequences on all those members. I believe there were roughly 200,000 members at the time the platform was taken offline. So you could ask yourself, couldn't they have explored other options? Which is why I gave two options to the members that organized themselves to take an initiative in Belgium. And I said, well, on one hand, you can go against the investigating authorities, the investigating judge, and ask for the platform to be reopened so every member could have access to his or her account and whatever was linked to that account. That was something that could be asked through Belgian legal proceedings in front of the investigating judge and the Court of Appeals. Many attempts have been made. All of them were unsuccessful because, and basically the conclusion of the judges was, as long as we think or there is a possibility that the Vitae platform is a scam, we cannot allow it to be reopened or to have members to allow them to get access to their accounts, because maybe the crime that could have been committed, still not has been committed, it's still a suspicion, still an investigation, the crime would continue. So these people are at risk. That was their conclusion. That's why they said, we will not allow your request to reopen, and we will maintain it frozen for now. Many attempts were made. None of them were successful. Second proceeding that I advised, and that was followed by the members, was to start legal proceedings against the Belgian state, the Belgian government. Because in my analysis, I saw that there is a possibility that the Belgian state is responsible, has a liability for freezing or closing the platform. And there's two possibilities. Either the Vitae platform was a scam, it was a fraud. If that's the case, I still think the Belgian state could be liable for damages to every member that became a member after a certain date. Because if our information is correct, the investigation, the criminal investigation against the founders of Vitae started well before the platform was taken offline. It started in 2019 or 2020, and the platform was only taken offline June 2021. As a matter of fact, many people became a member of Vitae after the start of the investigation and before the platform was taken offline. So let's assume in that scenario that Vitae is indeed a fraud or a scam. That would lead to the conclusion that the Belgian investigating authorities allowed people to become a member in something which is a scam or a fraud. Those people may have lost money in something which could be established later on that is a crime under the supervision of the investigating authorities. My legal analysis, and that's why we started the case against the Belgian state, is if that scenario would become true, and so the founders of Vitae would be convicted for scamming or fraud, I would say all these people becoming a member after the investigation already started and before the platform was taken offline, all the people that lost money in that time frame, they can hold the Belgian state liable for their losses, except if the Belgian state can say, well, whatever you have invested, we still have it, and here we return it to you. But that's a scenario which is highly unlikely, let's not say impossible, because that will never happen. Other scenario, which is also a perfectly fine possibility for me, as long as I have not seen evidence for the different scenario, I maintain the position that it's a perfectly fine possibility that there was no fraud, there was no scam in Vitae, and it was a genuine project. If that's the case, we will have to look into the platform being something genuine and the founders being found innocent after prosecution or even without prosecution. If the legal authorities in Belgium, the criminal court, the Court of Appeals, confirm there was no crime, the platform was taken offline in June 2021. I already started by saying this is a measure that can be taken, but it's a very drastic measure. So you have to be careful if and when you use it. And my position is the Belgian state is liable for all the losses of the members for taking something offline which wasn't a crime. We have started a case against the Belgian state already in 2021. By the end of the year, we started it. We argued the case in front of the court in Brussels. It's a civil court, not about crimes being committed. It's a liability claim from the members, 20,000 members of Vitae, against the Belgian state, saying we want to be held harmless by the Belgian state. We want to receive compensation for the damages we suffered because the platform was taken offline. And the platform was taken offline. Either it was a mistake, it was wrongdoing by the Belgian state, or you did it too late. You allow people to become a member after your investigation. So those two scenarios, please keep that in mind. The court in Brussels didn't say that our claim was granted, but didn't deny our claim either. Because Simply spoken, they say we have to wait for the outcome of the criminal investigation and possibly the criminal prosecution. So as long as we have no details on whether the founders are guilty of a crime, yes or no, we will not continue this case. The case states it's postponed indefinitely until we have more news about the criminal case. So for now, I am waiting desperately for that criminal investigation to be finalized and the Belgian authorities to do something with it. At the end of the investigation, the case will switch from the investigating judge to the federal prosecutor, and the federal prosecutor will have to ask the court in chambers to prosecute the case. Who is to be prosecuted, for what allegations? That's something by the prosecutor. As soon as the case is referred to the criminal court, there will be a full criminal trial against the founders, probably, of Vitae, maybe some other advisors, whoever. And at the end of the line, the criminal court, and if it continues in appeal, the appeal court, the Court of Appeals, will decide, are there any people guilty of any crime in this case, yes or no? As soon as we have that legal conclusion, we can continue in Brussels with our claim for the 20,000 that joined against the Belgian state. One way or the other, we will continue the case. Guilty or not guilty, we will continue the case because, as I gave an analysis before, it doesn't matter whether the founders are guilty or not guilty, because in both scenarios, I think there is a reason to file this claim and continue the pursuit of this claim against the Belgian state. But that's the future. I'm not sure why it is taking so long. Investigations in Belgium can take a while, but almost 5 years have passed since the platform was taken offline, and that's unusually long, if you ask me. For this type of investigation, I would have expected the investigation to be concluded and to have some conclusion and some prosecution by now. Obviously, that isn't the case. We are waiting, we continue to wait, but as soon as things get moving again, we could continue our case as well, one way or the other. I think that's the main point today. Is the case still active? Yes. Can we continue? No, because the court ruled that we have to wait for the criminal case. Does it take long? Yes. Do we still have all the chances on the table? Yes. I have experienced cases against the Belgian state in the past. And sometimes it's a very, very long battle, a tiring battle, but it's a matter of continuing and not giving up or giving in, but continuing as long as there is a legal basis for the claim, and that legal basis is still intact, without a doubt. And as soon as we know more from the criminal case, we could continue